Hi guys, and welcome to Rufus and Doofus. Chico and Rufus here today, out for our daily walk. And I have a new update today, April 20th. For those of you that watched the update that I did on April 19th, this may be interesting. Got a call from the mechanic today, Ulf, actually from his secretary, and she told me that my RV was ready, it was fixed, and I needed to come and pick it up. And I asked her what went wrong, and she told me that Ulf wants to talk to you when you get here. So off I went, money in hand, but very interesting situation. And right off the bat, I'm going to have to say that Ulf did a good job, I believe, at this point, and I think that he's being sincere about this whole thing, and he refuses to, rightfully so, I believe, uh, stay away from that fuel pump. In his opinion, uh, it's the fuel pump. And so let me tell you what happened. So I went down to pick up the motorhome, and yes, I did get charged for labor and such. And rightfully so, because one of the things that you have to understand is that when I brought it into him and he told me I had a bad fuel pump, I ordered the fuel pump from Rock Auto, and I did that by using the VIN number of the vehicle, and Rock Auto did the rest and told me what pump I needed and ordered it. Now that's the same thing that happened when I ordered the first pump that went bad. Well, when I got down to Ulf's, he took me aside, wanted to talk, and he said, "Look, I don't want to pull that fuel tank again." And he says, "I know you got two pumps from Rock Auto, those sending assemblies, and in my opinion, they were both bad." He says, "When I checked them for the fuel pressure, it just did not look like they were delivering enough fuel pressure in the static position, which would be key on, engine off, just watching the fuel pump pressure." He said, "I believe that's low for this engine." And he said when he did the rest of the tests, there was not a significant movement in the pressure, which led him to believe that the fuel pump was bad. So this is all old news to you guys that have been watching for a while. But you can just imagine what I'm going through. So he said, what I did, he says, I removed the pump from the sending unit and I installed an aftermarket pump, which I know to be good and deliver enough pressure for this engine. And I said, okay, so does that mean that the old sending unit is still in the tank? And he says, yes, we had no choice. The sending unit that's there, I removed the pump from it and replaced it with this aftermarket one and checked the pressures. He says the pressures snapped right up to what I expected, which would be 40 pounds per square inch with the key on and engine off. And he said when he removed the vacuum, when the engine was running, started the engine, maintained pressure. When he removed the vacuum, the pressure went up to about 50 pounds per square inch. He said the other one, nowhere's near that. He said it could barely maintain the 40. And he said when he pinched the line after the regulator, it spiked his gauges, which only go up to 60. He imagines that at that point it was probably delivering somewhere around 100 psi. So he said, I am confident that this pump is going to work. And I said, when you say confident, how confident are you? And he says, well, let's put it this way. This was my choice, my decision to put that pump in. If it fails, then it's my problem. And, that would be it. So I take that to mean that if there is a problem again, and this fuel pump does in fact fail, or if the same symptom occurs, then I no longer have to worry about paying him another dime. So I think that's fair. And I got to admit, I think it's fair that, he did charge me again because it's not his fault that the Ford Motorcraft pump was not sufficient to get the job done. So that's the good news. I think we have a running vehicle. I'm not 100% convinced yet, but at least I have a guarantee that if this messes up, it's not my fault because I didn't supply the pump. It's his decisions and his purchase and his installation, and he stands by it. So what did I do? I got on the phone with Rock Auto, And I said, look, I have a little problem here. I said, the pumps that the fuel sending units that I have been buying from you, both of them have failed. And I said, you were very kind and generous the last time when the other one failed. You took it back, no problem. And I purchased a new one, and then you credited my account, and I think that was great. I said, but I have a problem now. I said, the mechanic that did the work was sick and tired of dropping the tank, and it was costing me a ton of money. And he opted to put a different pump in the sending unit, which leaves me in a pickle. I have nothing to send you back except for the pump that was inside the Motorcraft sending unit, and that's it. That's what it looks like. Sock, see, it's nice and clean, everything, so no blockage, no residue, no nothing. But it just doesn't deliver enough pressure. So Rock Auto said, well, unfortunately, we can't get any credit from Motorcraft if we don't deliver the full sending unit back. And I said, I can understand that. I said, but still, I just don't understand why this pump wouldn't work, or fuel sending unit would not work, after you guys, through the VIN number, said it's the correct part. And obviously you got that information from somebody, so it had to be Ford. Okay, so getting over there. Next phone call I make is to Ford Motorhome Division. They have a division strictly for motorhomes. And I speak to someone there and talk to them about the whole situation as it happened. And they said, we are just the customer service for the motorhome division. There's certain things we can do and there's certain things we can't. And I explained to her my situation, told her the part numbers that I got and everything else. And she said, that doesn't match the part number that I show here for the vehicle. Well, apparently she must have had some part number from 97. It was completely different than what I had. So I mentioned these other part numbers that I got from Rock Auto, the part numbers I got. And she said, well, that doesn't match our part number. She said, where did you get the information to order that part? And I said, well, I got it from the VIN number through Rock Auto, and I also double checked it on the FordParts.com site, and what they gave me was only these letters, not the whole string of letters. But you know, it was the same, and the year matched and everything else. She said, well, here is a suggestion. I want you to call a dealership. She gave me the dealership near us here in Vero Beach. It was in Palm Bay. Gave me the phone number and said, just call them up, tell them you're looking for a part, what it is, and give them your VIN number, and don't, you know, even mention anything else about part numbers I gave you or the one you got from Rock Auto or this or that or the other thing. So gave the gentleman at Palm Bay my VIN number and information on the part I wanted, and he came up with a part number which was, again, different. Now this part number, most of it, all the forward letters except for 2 letters at the back, were the same. On the one I got, it was blah blah blah, and then it ended with a DA, and the one that the Ford parts person was telling me ended in a DB. So I said, well, is there a difference in this other part number that's kind of the same, DA? And he said, well, that would be the first generation. This is the second generation, being DB. And I said, well, why would they do that? And he says, well, obviously there was some problem with the first one, and the DB is the new replacement pump for your vehicle. I said, oh, very interesting. So now I've got a little more ammunition, and I called Rock Auto back. And this time I got a hold of a fella, nice guy, very interested in my problem, and I explained the problem to him. And I said, you know, I ordered this part number from you guys, and the part number that I got is blah 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 with DA. And I said, and I've had 2 failures, and I just recently called because I had to take the sending unit that I ordered from you guys and use it, so now I have nothing to send back for a credit. I said, but I called the Ford dealership directly and asked them for the latest part, or not latest part number, but the part number replacement for my vehicle according to VIN number, and they gave me a part number that ended in DB. And he says, well, that's what you should have got. Because I forgot to mention something. When you order it from Rock Auto or some of these places, they call it a PO14 or something like that. They have their own part number. So you don't really know the part number from Ford until you get the thing, which was in the box. And I said, well, I got a DA, and Ford is telling me that it should be a DB. And he says, yeah, that's what you should have got from us. And I said, well, I didn't. And he said, well, then, that's not good. He says, there's a problem here. And I said, yeah. And I said, I wasn't made aware of this problem until just recently because of my research. And he said, well, I can't do anything right now. He said, but I am going to look into this further for you and see if we can get you some relief, because he knew that, 3 times dropping the tank is not cheap. So that's where I stand right now. But the good news is that it ran very well coming home. I gave it as much gas as I could. I stomped on it here, stomped on it there, did it from a standing start, everything, no failures. Everything was fine. Mind you, though, that the Motorcraft did the same thing. It worked fine for a couple of miles. So what I'm going to be doing is tomorrow, hopefully, I'm going to take it for a nice long test drive, put it through the, the mill, as they say, and see what happens. So I guess what I have to say about this is that, number one, Ulf stuck to his guns. He said it was a fuel pump problem, and he stuck to it. Obviously, he wasn't going to eat somebody's bad pump. I don't blame him there. He shouldn't have to. But this time, now that he did it his way with a aftermarket part, he's going to stand by it all the way, which is great news for me. At least if it craps to bed again, Ulf's going to take care of it without, getting into my pockets again. So that was good news there. The other thing is, I just want to mention to all you people out there, if you have an F53 chassis and you experience fuel pump problems, which there have been problems in the past, maybe it's a really good idea to double check and triple check the part number that you're getting from Ford, the one that ends in DB. And the other suggestion might be, this is one time that you may want to go with an aftermarket part, because I just can't believe that a DB and a DA, I mean, DA was around for a long time. It wasn't like they just, put it on the market for a week and then took it off the market because it didn't work. So there's a ton of them out there. But maybe it's a good idea to look into an aftermarket pump on that particular series of years on the F53 chassis. At least that's what I'm thinking. Now here's the other part of the story. Maybe, just maybe, this pump isn't going to work either. It may fail just like the Motorcraft one did. That's very possible, which means there's some other problem somewhere. Very possible. I won't know that for a while. The good news about that is that Ulf is going to stand by his work. He's adamant that's the problem. The pump from Motorcraft was not putting out enough pressure. So, real important issue there. If this thing craps to bed again, God knows what the problem's going to be, but put it this way, I don't have to pay for it. One other thing I'd like to do, guys, is thank you all for all the suggestions and support that you guys have shown, especially after this last video. I'm glad I kept my cool with Ulf and everything, because in the end it looks like it looks to me like he's right about the fuel pump, and was adamant and stubborn enough and knowledgeable enough to pursue it, and not give up on the fact that he knew he was right, at least up to this point, that he's proven himself. So after this point, we don't know if it fails again. But he did make, I guess, the right diagnosis. Which leads me to another thing. I asked him again, I said, is there any possibility that it could be catalytics? No, because it's running. He said if it was the catalytics, once they heat up or cold or whatever the situation may be, you would not get a free flow through them. It's going to be consistent. I asked him about other electrical problems. He says he double checked all the electrical problems. He said the pump is just not putting out any pressure. There's no sense looking any further. If the pump doesn't put it out, the engine can't take it. So, um, all the wonderful suggestions and such, all of them made sense and all of them could apply. So, that's why I want to thank all you guys. And a lot of them, I agree. I mean, I was the one that said it was a fuel pressure regulator. And, all was pretty adamant about not being the fuel pressure regulator. And he said to me, when I put the new pump on, everything that I expected to see was happening. He said, even when I put that Motorcraft pump in, replacing the other one, he says, I was not happy with the numbers that I was seeing. But, you know, so what can I tell you? I know I'm rambling, but I'm excited. I'm upset because, believe it or not, this whole pump thing, trying to do the right thing. Had I been just, okay, go to some place, get a aftermarket pump, not the whole sending unit, or even the whole sending unit, drop it in for a third of what Motorcraft cost, I'd probably be okay and, on schedule with everything and riding around. But it turned out it cost me like 4 times more than it should have cost. And that's ridiculous, especially for me. I mean, I can't really afford that kind of money. So, Rufus, he better remember and remind me the next time, huh? To do things maybe a little more frugally, or I don't know. I don't really think it was anything I could have done different, and can't blame it on the mechanic, but I can blame it on Ford. God damn it. Oh, yeah. They put out a crap part there. At least that's the way I feel right now. All right. So, guys, I hope you understand the explanation about what transpired, what I was going through. A lot of you guys, gave it your best shot and gave me so many great suggestions. But as it looks right now, as of April 20th, on 10 after 5 in Vero Beach, prior to a significant thunderstorm, I might add, that's what the problem was and is, or was. It's a fuel pump. Yeah. Can you believe it? 3 fuel pumps later. Whee. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. And maybe we can move on now and on to better things. All right.